Hello, my fellow Nigerians. Gowon explaining what caused the Biafran War, 1967, the first Nigerian civil war between Nigeria and Biafra. A former military head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, retired, has revealed what transpired before the Nigerian civil war between himself and the former Biafran warlord, Ojukwu. Reports that Niger On Point reports that Gowon narrated what led to the war during an interview with Daily Trust to mark his 90th birthday. During the interview, Gowon restated his belief in a united Nigeria, stressing that he does not regret his actions during the civil war. Asked by the interviewer about what actually transpired between him and Ojukwu in Aburi, Ghana, Gowon narrated, "Well, Ojukwu used to say, 'On Aburi we stand,' and I will say, 'From Aburi you will fall.'" The story of Aburi is that we had been trying everything to be able to meet in Nigeria to resolve all the unfortunate things that happened. The killings and all the katakata after the January coup, 15 January coup. I was to go to Ibadan the following day, but I was informed that I could not go because there was a reception for officers coming into the brigade. Officers like me being posted to that brigade and others from the brigade being posted out. There was a reception by the brigade commander for officers like me and the others, and I had to attend all what. And on that Friday night, to ensure that I did the correct things in that unit, so that evening I went for the reception, and when it ended I moved to Ikeja to stay for the night. Unfortunately, late that night there was commotion. I was wondering what it was, but nobody told me anything, and I was to take over the battalion the following morning. Then there was movement of troops and vehicles in the unit. After some time it died down, but after another 2 to 3 hours there was greater movement and commotion, and I was wondering what was happening. There was a Agule calling all the troops to a master parade. I was wondering and looking through the window to see what was happening. Luckily, I saw one of the officers, the adjutant of the unit, Captain Martin Ademo, now late. He later became a general. I saw him passing by the duplex, a temporary quarter that I was to stay since the commanding officer's residence was not ready yet for occupation. I asked what was happening, but he wouldn't say anything, so I decided to go down and find out. When I met him and asked what the commotion was about, he said General Agu Ironsi, who was the general officer commanding GOC, came and told them that there was some crisis in town affecting the Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa and Kotiebo, the finance minister, and he had come to seek some assistance to see if he could deal with the problem. My first reaction was, why Ironsi? Why not the brigadier? Because the chain of command should have come through him. Ironsi should have told the brigadier, who would have related to the battalion commander. However, I asked where he was, and he said he was at the master's parade area. So I had to change into civil clothes to see what was happening. When we got there, he briefed me, saying that he wanted some units to be prepared so that they could go and deal with the situation. When he finished, he asked if there were questions. I did not know that by that time all the senior officers from my school, my Malari, Kor Mohammed, Abu Baladima, Yakubu Pam, had been killed. One of my good friends, Ato Nnegbe from Ozobulu, was also quiet, and I didn't know. I went and got the quartermaster to get me some military uniforms, boots, hats, and I went into town. Luckily enough, we were able to deal with the coup in Lagos. But in Kaduna, they succeeded in kpying the premier, his wife, and other officials. They were certainly in a command, but at least in Lagos, which was the headquarters, we were in charge. I was able to get all the other units to make sure that at least they did not go along with what had just happened. That was how I got involved. I tried to get things under control. However, it got to a stage when the leadership could not do anything to put things right. But we tried to see if we could meet within the country. Of course, Ojukwu said that with what happened, he could not be sure of his safety. He asked if he could also go to the east or Midwest, which was supposed to be neutral, for a meeting, since the whole thing seems to be north versus east. We got one of the British Airways aircraft for us to meet in the air or on one of the British naval ships. Every effort was made, both by Nigerians and the British, for us to meet, but in the end, we had to agree to meet in Aburi. That was where it all started. I think we went there early January, and as far as I'm concerned, we were going for that meeting so that we could agree as military officers. When I went, I did not take my secretary, the government, and officials like advisors, but of course, Ojukwu had a different intention. So he came with all his advisors and prepared a memorandum which he wanted to be the solution to the problem, as if we were to do an agreement in a class. I said no. I joked with him and I said he came with a pink solution paper. At our training in senior courses, students wrote on a white paper, but the staff had another green paper or something, and the solution paper was usually pink. It was from this paper that he was reading all the conditions, things he wanted done. We discussed them. We had 2 days there. The agreement was that when we got back, I would be the one to make a statement on the areas we agreed on. Unfortunately, I was down with a very serious fever, and honestly, I could not do anything. As soon as Ojukwu got back, he made a statement on what was agreed. I had not seen the document he was using. He made a statement that we had agreed to part or something like that. And early in the morning, David Ejok called to tell me what Ojukwu had done. I was still on a sick bed. I asked if that was what we agreed, and he said no, that that was how the confusion started. Of course, when I got better, we disagreed because that was not the agreement. We were going to discuss most of these things in Nigeria. However, that did not happen. So we had to ensure that something was done. Ojukwu then started doing all sorts of things, disobeying federal government's instructions, taking over government's revenue, all the rolling stock from Port Harcourt, and hijacking the Nigerian Airways aircraft, and so on and so forth. A lot of things were happening. Security-wise, people were disappearing, and the fault was put on the northern soldiers. The information was that there were some elements among the recruitment made at that time. There were some bad eggs using the opportunity of being in the military to settle scores. Ojukwu said his constituent assembly said he could break away from